Episode 129, weighing in with Travis Hartman. I'm B-Money, the producer. That over there is the Talent Weekend Trav. Weekend Trav with Terence Crawford and Errol Spence Jr.'s fight around the corner. We thought it fitting to get the inside track from a former opponent of Terence Crawford's, going all the way back to March 2009. That opponent being one Travis Hartman.
Weekend Trav.
Our own Weekend Trav here. Weekend Trav. We wanted to pick your brain here because you've been in the ring with Terence Crawford. You took Terence Crawford the distance. Didn't it come out your favor back in March 2009? That fateful night in York, Pennsylvania, I think. Am I right?
It was a fateful night. Yes, it was York, Pennsylvania.
Talk to us. Talk to our subscriber base. Talk to the listeners about Terence Crawford. I know it's been a lot of time since then, but let's go back to 2009 as Terence Crawford the opponent. Give us some specifics on his fight style, what you saw in the ring, what you felt in the ring. Let's just have an open dialogue here about your fight against Terence Crawford, you being one of 9 people who has not been knocked out by Terence Crawford in the professional ranks.
Which is kind of crazy, but I foreseen him being this way after I fought him. Because if anybody knows, we've talked about it many times, but I had 170 amateur fights, 46 pro fights now, and I've told every single person that will ask me, Terence Crawford was the best I've ever fought. And I said that back in 2009, before people knew who Terence Crawford was. Now, thank God for sports psychologists, because I have PTSD talking about Terence Crawford because he put it on me. I'm kidding, I don't, but he did put it on me. I mean, this guy, it's crazy because I did go the distance with him, and if you look at my record, I fought other guys like Keith Thurman and Chavez Jr. I didn't go the distance. I was stopped by those guys. However, different circumstances there, because if you looked at my record on paper, you'd be like, oh, Keith Thurman is obviously better than Terence Crawford because Travis went the distance with Terence Crawford, and he got stopped by Keith Thurman. It's professional boxing, and I promise you it's more of a business, so there's other stuff that went into that. But Terence Crawford, when I fought him, he was one of the fastest guys that I ever fought. He hit harder than anybody that ever fought in my life. His balance was so impeccable. His chin was amazing, and I hit really hard. If you look at my professional boxing record too, out of my wins, there's only been 4 people that I didn't knock out of my wins, so I do hit really hard as well, and he took it. Like, he was a beast. I just remember him switching as well. I can switch too, but I've never ever been in the ring with somebody that can switch better than me, meaning he went from left-handed to right-handed. I've never met anybody that does it better than me. He did. That night, I'm like, he switched. I switch usually when I'm tired. I'll switch to get a little leverage and just to be able to see the punches coming better. This guy switched and was equally deadly from his right-handed stance to his left-handed stance. And that's something that separates him from everybody else because, like I said, I beat a lot of top guys in the amateurs. I beat not a lot of top guys in the pros, but I fought a lot of top guys in the pros, and nobody's ever been able to switch like me. I mean, nobody. And I've fought 5 or 6 different world champions. I fought guys that are going to be Hall of Famers, and nobody's ever switched better than me. Terence Crawford, he did. And the reason why I bring that up is because Errol Spence is good, but he's never faced somebody with the athletic ability that Terence Crawford has. And equally, I will say equally though, Terence Crawford has never faced anybody as good as Errol Spence. Okay, I will say that. Everybody says that Terence Crawford's never fought anybody better than Errol Spence, and then I look at him and I go, Errol Spence has never fought anybody better than Terence Crawford either. However you want to compare their resumes, it doesn't matter because neither guy has fought a guy as good as they're fighting July 29th. Yeah,
which is going to be just a blockbuster fight. We're going to talk more about that next week on the 130 episode as we go into kind of the home stretch of that fight. But Weekend Trav, Travis Hartman taking on Terence Crawford back in 2009. That's math, 14 years ago, right? What weight class was that? What were you guys weighing in?
Crawford was 138 for that.
138.
So we were light welterweight, which is 140. So that's another thing where I can't speak on, and it's going to be even worse, I think, though. Terence Crawford's put on weight, and he's brought his punching power with him.
Right.
So he hit hard then at 138. He probably hits so much harder at 147 now, and he's all the way into his career. He's comfortable at that weight class now, and he's a much stronger and a better fighter than when I fought him even. And I thought he was a superstar then. I even went on the radio in 2009 and told everybody, I was like, listen, this guy's a superstar. And they were like, no way, Trav. Nobody's ever heard of him. Look where we're at now.
Now you have.
He's top 2 pound for pound on everybody's list.
Right.
He's 1 or 2. You depend on who you talk to. He's been 1 on my list for a long time. Canelo took him over, and then Canelo lost. I put Terence Crawford back up there. Equally, Earl Spence is top 5 for sure. Probably top 3 even. But this is a blockbuster fight. This is a fight that boxing needs, especially with all of the ducking and dodging going on in the heavyweight division right now. And I think it's great and refreshing, finally, that these guys were not – I don't think they were ducking each other.
No.
But a lot of stuff came in the way the last 2 years, and we talked about it.
I think there's some promotional elements that got involved there and contractually speaking.
Terence finally left Bob Arum top rank.
So let's go back to some of those points you made about when you fought him. And now that we see Terence Crawford, because what is this fight? What is the weight that this fight's going to be at?
Welterweight's 147.
So 147. So about 9 pounds difference now. Let's talk about some of the points you made of Terence Crawford back in 2009. He was fast. As you've watched and picked apart his fights from that point till now, do you feel like he still has that kind of speed for a 147er?
Yes, if not better now. I think that he's anticipating punches so well now. He's so crazy intelligent, and he still has that killer instinct. When he smells blood in the water, he goes for it. Like the Benavidez fight. He was boxing brilliantly anyway and was beating him. And then the 12th round, he picked his spot, and Benavidez gave it to him, and he finished him. When you can finish somebody in the 12th round of a title fight, that's amazing. When you still have that power and that stamina to finish another high-level guy, that is brilliant, and that's what Terence Crawford just brought not too long ago. So he's gotten better. Yeah,
because you mentioned to me off air that after you fought him, he rattled off, 12 out of 13 as knockout wins. Yeah.
He knocked out the next 7 in a row, and then the next 12 of 13 he knocked out after me.
So let's go back to that. Hardest hitting. Do we still see that from Terence Crawford in the ring today at 147? The same kind of hard hitting physique, punching power. Do we still see that now?
This is how I explain Terence Crawford's power to people now. He doesn't have that overwhelming, massive, big punch. He is a massive pinpoint puncher. He puts his punches on the point, on spot. He can pinpoint his punches on his opponent wherever he wants to. And when you can pinpoint punch, then you can knock people out. That's what Terence Crawford is good. He does have power. He's got that pinpoint punching power to where he places his punches in specific spots and he nails those spots. And that's why I think he's even more dangerous now. Because, and why I say pinpoint puncher over like just like a brutally knockout puncher, in the heavyweight division, Deontay Wilder, that guy can hit you anywhere and knock you out. Hit you in the forehead, hit you in the jaw, whatever, knock you out. Terence Crawford's got to put it right on the button, but he will. He's a sniper. That's probably what I would say. He's a sniper. He's going to pick you off wherever he wants to aim that punch. It's going to go there.
So let's talk about his balance. You still see the same thing in the ring from him now, being a little bit heavier, a little older. You still seeing the balance, or is it improved?
I think that's the part about Terence Crawford that is probably the most impressive, because you never see him out of balance. Even though he switches, and that's been always my thing about switching when I was in the ring. Switching was tough because when I'm right-handed, I'm pushing off with my back right leg most of the fight, right? I'm a natural right-hander. When I switch left-handed, I have to make sure I'm not pushing off with my right leg because now it's in the front, right? If you watch Terence Crawford when he switches, this guy's balance is so impeccable. It's why he's great. His balance is probably the building blocks of him hitting hard, of him dodging punches, anticipating punches, because he's always in position to be where he needs to be. And this is what I coach now too. I tell all my fighters, I'm like, listen, if your balance is good, that means you're going to be in the right position to do the right things. If your balance is off, your punches are going to be off. Terence Crawford's balance, I would say he's probably one of the most balanced fighters in the world right now, pound for pound. Any division, his balance is impeccable.
So let's talk finally on his chin. I don't know how many times we've even seen it really tested, to be honest with you, and you look back in the past few fights he's had. But when you're watching as a fan, not just when you were in the ring with him, but as a fan, what do you see from Terence Crawford's chin that sets him apart?
I mean, that's the thing. Everybody always talks about chins and like, oh, it's never been tested, blah, blah, blah. Well, that's a good thing that's never been tested. You know what I mean? That means that he's never been punched clean because he's always in place to where he needs to be. He's always balanced. So I don't know about his chin. I mean, he's been caught, but it's a good thing that it hasn't been tested. That's the thing I always want to tell people is like, they're like, yeah, but his chin is questionable. No, it's not. His chin has not been tested for good reason, though. His offense is that good. His offense allows for him to have a good defense, allows him to not get hit clean. He's been hit a couple decent times by some smaller guys like Yoriorkis Gamboa. A couple of those guys have caught him, but I've never, ever seen Terence Crawford in serious trouble. He hasn't. He's never caught that punch really super clean. But I'm not even comparing myself to those world champions by no means at all. I caught him clean a couple times, and I can punch. And it wasn't that he just shook it right off, but he was just calm through it all. And that's the thing. Even in trouble, if you can stay calm while you're in trouble or even slightly buzzed, because you're going to get buzzed no matter who you are.
Sure.
At some point in your career, you're going to get buzzed a little bit. And Terence Crawford showed me personally in that ring that he could stay calm through that. And I guarantee you he has been buzzed at maybe a couple of different times that we didn't really notice, but it happens like that sometimes in boxing. You don't see it from the outside, but Terence Crawford, if he's sitting down off air, being honest, I bet he'll tell you he's been buzzed a couple of times. So he knows how to stay calm, no matter what. Errol Spence can punch. That's no joke there. He's got that nice plodding, straight at you, beat you down with multiple combinations, things like that. He can punch. I think he is going to test his jaw. He probably will hit Crawford clean. But I think Crawford, even if he does get hit clean, I think he's going to be okay because he's going to stay calm and collective. He's got 39 pro fights. Yeah. Okay? He's going to be okay.
Yeah, so we'll talk about the specifics between those two next week. We'll talk about some of those details we just mentioned on Terence Crawford and how that plays a part into Errol Spence's game, speed, the hitting style, the balance, all these things. We're going to talk about that when it comes to his fight with Errol Spence Jr. We'll talk about it next week on the podcast, but we wanted to, once again, just to pick your brain because 14 years ago, a little over 14 years ago, you yourself were in the ring with this guy, and obviously he's done nothing but improve since that point,
which is scary because he was good then.
So I think he just kind of flies on the radar because his personality is very quiet in most cases, and he's kind of a family guy, whatever else.
So is Errol Spence too. That's why this fight is weird.
It's very interesting.
They're good dudes.
So we're going to talk about that next week a bit. Week in travel. We're going to go from one pound for pound fighter in Terence Crawford to another, probably a top 5 pound for pound fighter in the world, and that's Naoya Inoue, who's taken on Stephen Fulton for the WBC and WBO super bantamweight titles, and that's Inoue stepping up to the 122 ranks. Correct me if I'm wrong. Is that on the 24th or is that on the 25th?
It's the 25th.
Okay.
The 25th in America.
In America.
That makes sense.
And so usually when
they're like 15 hours or they're like 13 or 14 hours ahead over.
And they're fighting in Japan, correct?
Yes.
So usually that's going to be about like a 9 a.m. Sort of fight
in America.
In America.
I think you're right. I think it's the 24th technically in Japan, but it's going to air for us over here live still, but it's going to be in the morning. So technically it's still the 25th for us.
Big time. I mean, we mentioned last week that we get sidetracked with the, what's happening in boxing and the news of the moment, things like that we don't spend enough time sometimes on these big fights that are coming up, but we're grateful that we can this week and next week. But this is a big fight.
It's a huge fight, man.
Okay, and this episode 129 is going to drop, and we're not going to have another episode prior to this fight happening. Yep. This is a big-time fight, especially there's a lot of pressure on Inoue going up in 122. He's been so dominant at his prior weight class, so dominant, and now stepping up. What do you think here?
I love it because here's the deal, and I think this is something that I'm going to give Canelo credit for, too, daring to be great. This guy turned pro at like 138 pounds, what I fought Crawford at. But Canelo turned pro at 138 pounds. He moved all the way up to 175, and finally, yes, he met his match. Bivol beat him, and I don't think he beats Bivol in a rematch, but I love it when he dared to be great because you know what he did? I think Canelo gets a little bit of credit for these guys now trying the same stuff, which is Inoue. Good for him. Nobody could even touch him at the weight classes below. And maybe not even this weight class as well, so we'll see. I think he's the favorite. I don't think he should be, right? But Naoya has been fighting at 118, which is a weight class below 122, is what they're fighting at now. He fought at 113. He's fought so low, and now he's moving up. He fought at 107. 108, that's the weight class. 108, 113, 114.
These are big jumps, though, percentage-wise. Percentage-wise, these are massive jumps. And so
he's not very tall. He's pretty short. He's 5'5", so he doesn't have the height.
We can't sleep on Stephen Fulton in this thing. There's a reason why he has 2 of these belts. And I think, if I remember correctly, I think Inoue went ahead and relinquished the titles down a weight class. I'm almost positive he did.
If he did, it was kind of silly because I think what you can do is when you're such a dominant champion, you can apply for something.
But it was just like Cortez landing on the shores of Mexico, and they tore the ships apart and burned the wood because they weren't going back. Maybe Inoue is not going back. He's only moving forward.
little B Money throwing some history out there.
There you go.
I like it, B Money.
So this is a big time fight. I'm pretty excited about it. I like watching Inoue fight, and I like the fact that it's in the morning because B Money is awake and he can watch this thing on his computer while he's supposed to be working. He can watch it. So that is coming up here on the 25th here in the States. That should be pretty interesting. Maybe we'll throw some content out there right before that fight. Maybe a little prediction stuff. But
Fulton's only 5'6.5". Even though he's the bigger guy, he's not much bigger, if that makes sense.
They're going to be, but these are going to be two heavy hitting guys, and speed. Keep that in mind, folks. When we're talking about the lower weight classes, these guys are fast, so it's going to be exciting to watch.
I think that Inoue is obviously the much bigger puncher. He's 24-0, 21 KOs, but Fulton's not. Fulton's 21-0 with 8 KOs. But Fulton is a phenomenal boxer. And this is why this fight's perfect, because you have a guy who's a phenomenal boxer, doesn't rely on power, and is very crafty. Then you have a guy like Inoue who can punch and box. But you know how you beat a puncher? You box him. So this is Inoue's kryptonite on paper, meaning this could be how he gets beaten, and it won't be a knockdown drag out. It could be one of those fights where Fulton, if he's smart, he boxes and moves the whole fight. But Inoue's fast. He's not just a power puncher.
Yes.
He's got reflexes. He knows how to apply that pressure in a boxer's way. So I think this is a great fight. This is another way for Inoue to cement his Hall of Fame career.
Yeah, and there's a lot of pressure on Fulton in this thing. Even though he's coming in as the champ, this is a way for him to springboard his name into the conversation. You know, before this fight, unless you follow everything like to a T. Do you know who Stephen Fulton is, even though he has 2 of these belts? Super bantamweight.
The average person doesn't know.
Are we watching 100? Are we watching 122s fight a lot?
No, you're not. And I think that this is, you're right, 100%. I think this is his way to move up as well. Because if Stephen Fulton can beat Inoue, I think he has to move up to featherweight, which is 126, which is close to where Shakir Stevenson and all those guys are at, which is where the big money fights are at, which is Lomachenko did it. Lomachenko was low as like 122, I think, at one point and moved up. So that's where Fulton's at right now, is at 122. So this is a big fight for Fulton. Fulton easily could catapult himself into the major scene and better, as a prize fighter, catapult himself into the bigger money fights.
Absolutely.
And that's what we're prize fighters, right? We fight for money. I don't care what anybody says. We're fighting for money as well. So this is the ultimate goal, is you want to get more money and wins, obviously. But Inoue and Fulton, I think, is going to be a phenomenal fight. It's in Japan, which is where Inoue, I guarantee you Fulton's making a good payday too.
Oh, absolutely.
Good for him.
Absolutely.
It's got to be his biggest payday for sure. And as you know, Japan's got a lot of money because they paid Floyd Mayweather to go over and do an exhibition. I think he made like, I don't know, $9 million or something stupid. So obviously there's some money over there.
Yeah, so the crowd will sit all nice and quiet until, like, you know, they do that. Yeah, it's so weird watching them as fans, and even like in the pro wrestling world, they're like so quiet until it's very nice to watch. Anyway, so let's switch gears again. Continuously making a name for herself, and she should, right? Because she has all the gold, right? And we're talking Alycia Baumgardner, who avenged her sole loss against Christina
Leonardo or something,
Leonardo too.
Yeah.
Sorry.
Who also is coming off of just having a baby as well.
There you go.
Nobody's really talking about that.
So that's
Give her
tough.
some credit. Good for her. But she did beat Baumgardner early in the career, and Baumgardner came back. Good for her.
Unanimous decision victory for her. I think they fought in Detroit, and that was for the super featherweight titles, the WBA, IBF, WBC, and WBO super featherweight women's titles. So there you go. We had Alycia Baumgardner continuously making a name for herself, and that's what women's boxing needs. They need more than just a couple of names. Here's what I liked about the fight weekend, Trav.
Give it to me, money.
Was post-fight, she basically called out she wants all the smoke from everybody, whoever she can get it from. She wants Amanda Serrano. She wants Katie Taylor. She wants to jump up. She wants to fight the best of the best.
Has she even mentioned the rematch with Mikaela Mayer?
No.
I love it.
No, I love it
That
too.
even draws more. You know how steamed that's got to make Mikaela Mayer? Even more so, which is going to make her work even harder, because we do. Obviously, Baumgardner likes to avenge losses, so therefore she would like to give rematches one day. But she's right. Baumgardner, call out the big money fights. Katie Taylor, Amanda Serrano. Not only are they the best, but those are also the big money fights.
Absolutely.
So, good for her. And you know what makes me happy? That women are making some money, but the women who have other women that are quality in their division are making great money. And I only say that because Clarissa Shields was in Detroit at these fights, because she's from Michigan, right? So she was at these fights with Baumgardner. But she doesn't have any dance partners in her weight class, which makes the ratings low because who she fights, they're not making the big money because the big fights aren't there. These weight classes where Baumgardner's at, they're big fights.
Absolutely.
Katie Taylor and Amanda Serrano were one of the fights of the year, right? They were our fight of the year for 2022 or whenever they fought, 2021, I think, even. End of it, or it's 2022. But big fights. I like it. Alycia Baumgardner is also a big seller because she's very personable. She's very exciting. She's very flamboyant. And we like that. People like that. The fans like that.
So here it is. So she's going to continue to defend at 130. So that's not to say that Mikaela Mayer might still be in the mix. But honestly, I'm not even interested in seeing that fight. I think Mikaela Mayer is a boring fighter. I'm tired of seeing her. I'm just going to be honest with you. I think it's just she's a tall, lumbering sort of fighter, and all she does is kind of impose her size against people. And I still don't know how she makes weight against some of these girls. But here was Alycia Baumgardner. She said, "What's next? 135. Katie Taylor, I want you. Chantel Cameron, Amanda Serrano." She firmly declared all these three names. Those are good fights. Absolutely.
Those are great
Why not? I love it when a champ calls it out. Champ, call it out.
Other champs at
and let's call out the other champs.
Too. Yeah, this is what we need. Men, take notes as well. Like we need this in the men's division as well.
Yeah. So,
but I gotta make sure that I tell the fans they hear this that I don't think Mikaela Mayer is a boring fighter. For the record, I think she's very technical, which can come across as boring to people that want to watch it for entertainment. I agree with you though, because Mayweather was the same.
No,
when he was coming up,
I'm gonna sit there and we're gonna
very technical.
Let's pull if we can even find the footage of the last 3 fights that she's been in. Let's watch the fights and you tell me how technical she is.
Pitter pats and moves.
Yes,
she's got a very technical coach. She's pretty technical. She's a good fighter. Skill wise, she's a quality fighter. But I see how she's not entertaining. All you're thinking about is her in a bikini. That's all you're thinking about. She is boring. I love you, baby. I'm sorry. I'm not thinking about her in a bikini. He's not. But Mikaela, I'm sorry. To me, it's just lumbering. No, it's boring. I'm not disagreeing with you because I understand where you're coming from. I know the you're watching it and I know no, I want to see quality. It's women's boxing. We ain't going to see knockouts. That's very true. Okay, we're not going to see that's why we like Amanda Serrano, though, because she does knock people out. Yes. Katie Taylor. But I like technical aspects of boxing. I just think Mikaela Mayer should be able to do more. Should be able to do more with her overwhelming size and reach and everything. She should do more. She doesn't punch hard enough. It's like missing the killer instinct or something. Yeah. Okay, so anyways, we could talk about that a little bit further, but we don't want to lose viewers. We want to gain viewers. We appreciate your subscribing, and if you have yet to do so to the podcast, Weighing In with Travis Hartman, please do so below on YouTube, Rumble, wherever you're catching us. If you're listening to us on the audio sources on Spotify, iHeartRadio, Amazon Alexa, all the things. Did I turn an Alexa on? I hope I didn't turn your Alexa on by saying that over the air. Please subscribe below. Give us a like on this content for episode 129. You know what I hope we do turn on is? I hope we turn on the Spotify Joe Rogan listeners. Oh, man. Come on over, guys. Come on, man. Come on over, guys. Did you catch? I love you guys. Did you catch the Mike Perry with him, with Joe Rogan? I haven't watched it yet. It was good. It was good. I haven't watched it yet. It was very entertaining. I listened. I actually watched and listened the whole time, and it was entertaining. For sure. I'm not surprised, as you know, as we know, Mike Perry is a ratings hit. Yeah. No matter what setting you put this man in, you're going to watch. Yeah. Because, one, he's tough as nails. The guy will literally die in the ring if he has to. Thank God he hasn't. He's got a family, so thank God he hasn't. But this guy will lay it all on the line. And I think he gives his interviews the same way. He's like, I will just tell you straight up how I feel, where it is, and I love it. He's in a sport, and they mentioned this on that episode with Joe Rogan, Joe Rogan Experience. They mentioned he is in a sport that is tailor-made for him. This is a tailor-made sport. We said it 2 years ago. Absolutely. When he went to bare knuckle, I was like, because there is a certain skill set you need on the bare knuckle boxing. It's not just brutality. You have to have technique and skill level, but you also have to be able just to withstand such devastating punishment. Man, it's the modern day gladiator. He's the modern day gladiator that used to fight at the Coliseum until death. This is Mike Perry. I mean, can you imagine getting hit in the face as many times without a 12-ounce glove on? No. No. I mean, I'm telling you that if I fought Terence Crawford in a bare knuckle fight, I promise you that fight doesn't go more than one round. On either eye. Either one. Like, that's what I'm saying, either one, because boxers know how to punch, right? Like, so we're pinpointing those punches. with bare knuckle. We knock people out with 10 and 12 ounce gloves. I don't want to be in a bare knuckle. Like, God bless, hallelujah. I love you, Mike Perry, but I couldn't do what you do. Yeah. And I am okay admitting that because you're a freaking beast.
Yeah.
And you deserve all of the money, all of the respect, all of it because you lay your life on the line.
I love it.
For your family, for you, for the fans. Like, Mike Perry needs to get, like, a Nobel Peace Prize. Like, this guy, what he does for people, like, seriously, think of all the fans that he's entertained. Think about all of the people that know the name Mike Perry. Think about all the people that have tuned into his fights. Nobel Peace Prize 2024 Mike Perry.
I mean, I think there's, okay, maybe some award. I don't know about the Nobel Peace Prize, but that being said, we want to also say congratulations to you and yours on your recent nuptials there in Vegas. You got married, you got hitched, you got the ring on, you guys look happy, you got a budding family. Congratulations from us here at Wayne with Travis Hartman. We appreciate you, and congratulations once again. Best of luck to you with all things.
Coming from married men with children, Mike has 2 children.
Married with children.
Congratulations.
Absolutely.
God bless, and cheers to many more.
Cheers. We can travel. Let's go to final thoughts.
Oh my goodness, you're throwing final thoughts at me.
Absolutely.
That fast. Let me pour one more thing of Basil Hayden toast, which is a James Beam distiller. I didn't even know that.
Yeah, I don't know if it's them or if they just co-branded that. I don't know, but this is
they're the distiller, so maybe it's just a processing.
So catch this on the Bourbon Lounge. We had an episode about it. Basil Hayden's toast,
small batch.
Yeah, it's pretty
toasted
good.
Wood vanilla light mouthfeel.
So now that you have the light mouthfeel in your cup, give me the final thoughts here before we call it a show.
My cup runneth over. Mr. B Money. Final thoughts. Oh my goodness. So much to be thankful for and happy for. Final thoughts. I am very thankful and happy right now because boxing is exciting. We've had so many amazing fights in 2023. I'm a broken record here, but I'm going to name you the upcoming amazing fights to go with the first 6 months we've already had, which have been phenomenal. But we have Terence Crawford, Errol Spence. We have Inoue, Steve Fulton. We have, I'm going to throw this out there, whatever, but we also have Nate Diaz versus Jake Paul. Yeah. We have Tyson Fury versus Ngannou. We have Usyk back in the ring. We also have a possible Deontay Wilder versus Ruiz, which I think will happen by the end of the year because Deontay Wilder needs to get back in the ring.
Got Anthony Joshua,
Dillian White back in the ring. Which, to be fair, that's still a quality fight. Dillian White can fight. So I think it's going to be a quality fight, and we possibly could see a knockout in that fight. So those are just a rundown of the immediate fights that we know of for sure. But there's going to be a blockbuster in December as well, which I don't know who it's going to be, but there's going to be a blockbuster in December. It's going to get announced. I don't know who it's going to be, but it's going to be a blockbuster. But my final thoughts are, to be a boxing fan right now in 2023 is a pretty amazing place because I think right now, today, this year, by far, boxing is the #1 combat sport in the world. And I think it's because we have great fights happening. We have the top guys fighting the top guys. We have guys from other sports that are top sports like UFC, bare knuckle boxing, all of that are also transitioning to boxing to make some money. So boxing is hitting on all cylinders right now. But it is a very, very, very pivotal moment because we're capturing all of these fans and all of their eyes right now, B-Money. We have to do it in a good way. We can't take advantage of that and start putting shitty fights in again. So we have to capitalize on that and keep these people because we're entertained. We like to watch. We're the consumer, right? We like to watch for entertainment. We need to keep getting these entertaining fights because 2023 has been amazing. But those fans can equally go away and tune in to another sport just like that because there's phenomenal sports out there. You got soccer, you got American football, you have everything, other combat sports, bare knuckle boxing, you have UFC. So what I'm trying to say is I'm appealing to the boxing gods to please let this carry through and carry over into 2024 because for the first time in a really long time, I feel like we've gotten blockbuster high-quality fights in 2023.
Yeah, we've definitely had a couple years in a row here where we've strung together some amazing fights. My final thoughts is going to be this. It's going to be another congratulations. Okay? My final thought is this. Congratulations, Gervonta Tank Davis, for making it out of the joint after your 45-day sentence for...
I don't even know what this time. He's done a lot of stuff.
Oh, I think it was because he was under house arrest, and I think he broke that.
He did?
Anyway, so congratulations to you. You made it out of the clink. You're back home. You're back to training. And then we're going to get back to these medium-sized guys talking a lot of stuff and not fighting one another. That's where we're at. But anyways, that's my final thought.
Well, the medium-sized guys did fight each other.
Yeah, but now what's next?
Yeah, there's still fights to be made.
You know how it is. As a consumer... It's not what have you done for me lately? It's what you're going to do for me next.
I want something to look forward to.
Exactly.
I don't disagree, but we have some options, though.
So that is episode 129, weighing in with Travis Hartman. That over there is the talent weekend, Trav.
That there is B-Money, a.k.a. producer, a.k.a. man with the cool hair and nice beard on, what is this? The #1 boxing
you can
Beards Bourbon podcast. Shot in Orlando, Florida, specifically in Laureate Park, specifically on the second floor of TH Boxing, specifically on a Wednesday, sometimes Tuesday, Sunday. I don't know. I'm not the producer.
Sunday or Monday. Today being Sunday, dropping on
a Wednesday morning at 7:15 a.m. Eastern Standard Time. In the world.
That's the top spot. That's us. Episode 129. Thanks for tuning in. Subscribe below if you have not done so yet. We'll be back with you soon. Thanks.